So with all of that, and I forgot my antlers, my reindeer antlers, man, I was so upset. I was like, I want to make sure everything is ready, and forgot my antlers. But it's still almost Christmas. It's still holiday time. So I want to introduce you guys to Christopher Wells. And, you know, you never know why people come into your life. And so I'll tell you guys how we met in a minute. But Christopher Wells is the CEO of WSR, which is also known as Wells and Son Roofing. And, you know, okay, so here's another thing. Names are important. Pay attention. Not Wells and Sons, Wells and Son. Right? Wells and Son Roofing. You're welcome. Wells and Son LLC, a family-owned and operated full-service residential and commercial roofing company. Wells and Son Roofing was founded by the late Calvin D. Wells, father of Christopher Wells, who recently passed away in December 2019. Since then, Christopher has devoted all of his time to building the family business. And I've got his full bio out there too, so you'll be able to read some of this. But I want to talk about what led us to today. Mr. Wells has taken his experience as a leader, and just within the past year alone has grown the family business into a multi-million-dollar company. As the business grows, his goal is to focus on building the lives of students through education, one child at a time, all while teaching his only son, Carter Mason Wells, the business, so that one day he'll become CEO and continue the family legacy. Absolutely. Christopher, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is going to be so serendipitous because I think you guys heard me talk about, I was having all kinds of drama. My technology was going crazy, all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden I had roof issues. And so I filed a claim with my insurance, and they have this little thing where you can connect to people and they give you contractors. I was like, I don't know. But a friend connected me to a friend who connected me to Christopher. And we ended up, talking, here's what we can do. We're going to go look at it. And just the conversation that was so clear and so professional around, here's what we found, here's what we'll do, here's what it means, and no high pressure, because I don't do high pressure. Because if you're working that hard to sell me, then I'm feeling like something's shady. Something's going on, right? So it was very, very clean and clear. And the roof, by the way, if you need a roof, WSR Roofing, because they were in and out in the grass, picking up picking up nails. And for someone who's had 3 tires with nails in it lately, all of that. And so I got a chance to meet him. He came over just to inspect everything. And we got started talking. And that's why he's on the show. Because this focus on building legacy and the focus on education, which you and I didn't get to talk about, what we'll do on the show, is such a line of kindred spirit. And the way he showed up and the way he built his team is right in line with the things that we talk about here on the show, about showing up and being honest and operating in integrity. So, Christopher, please tell people, give us kind of your story.
So my story, I don't know the short way around it, but I'll take you through my story. Okay, my story isn't that I got it out the mud. I built it from ground up. It's not my story. Yeah. My story is I had a father who really showed and paved the way for me to have the opportunities that I now exist in my life. So I can't really talk about my story unless I mention him, because he meant a lot to the legacy. So we'll start with him. He's a small town hero, a guy from a small town of Woodville, Mississippi. He comes from a rather large family of, I believe, 7 or 8 siblings. He was second to the youngest, and education was always at the forefront of his life. So he finished college at Southern University, class of 72. I had a father who took 24 and 27 hours a semester, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah,
that just makes my head hurt.
Yeah, he was that type of guy. So imagine what education meant to him in the Wells household coming up. Yeah. But with that being said, once he finished at Southern University, he then moved to Houston, and he took a job that was closest to home for him. So it's about a 6-hour drive from his hometown. When he moved to Houston, he started off working for a Texaco oil company. Oh, yeah. And he started off as an auditor. And after 28 years, he was retired Senior Vice President of International Procurement.
Fantastic.
Over 140 countries of procurement. And so my mother and him, they met back in the same small hometown. She went to Jackson State. He finished college a year before her. And then he went back, married her, and moved her with him to Houston. and that's when they started their family here.
Fantastic.
So that's how I got my start. But when it comes to my beginning start in roofing, this is a story he told me.
Yes.
Okay? So my sister, who was 8 years older than me, her name is Kim. Shout out to Kim. Kim and I are 8 years apart, but my mother had 2 miscarriages in between the birth of my sister and I. So my dad always wanted a boy, and it's just like the last try. And so when my mother was pregnant with me, there were some complications and some things that could have really harmed her health, but she chose to go through with the pregnancy anyway. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
And then they had me. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to mark the business. He wanted to mark the birth of me by forming something that would last, that I could have, that he could mentor me through life and teach me, and something I can have and call my own up until I get tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. So that's how the business started.
Awesome.
In the midst of that, he always had a corporate job. So I saw a man who worked corporate America, get off corporate America, turn into Batman,
yes,
and then get a truck with a ladder on it. And now we're going around leaving school, sitting in people's living room. Didn't understand what that means until right now. Yeah. Because now I'm living that same legacy. So,
yes.
That's how we got started. Yeah. Well, that's how I got started.
Well, and what I want you guys to take all of that in. But what is so cool about that, and that I talk to a lot of my clients about, and that we've talked about on here, is, there are people whose dream is to be that CEO in corporate, right? They want to be an executive person in corporate. That's what they want to do. There are other people who their dream is to be an entrepreneur. And then there are people who do both. And it's okay, whatever it is. If your dream is to be in corporate, just because I left or somebody else you talked to left, doesn't mean you have to leave, right? Yes. Be where and who you want to be. That's what's important. And so Christopher, as we talked a little bit about, that story, but talk as you've been building this business, right? So now you had this legacy, because that's the other thing, right? Legacy is not just about being Bill Gates and Mackenzie Scott and Warren Buffett, right? Legacy is about impact. Legacy is about impact. I'm talking about that on the podcast this week too. So talk a little bit and tell people a little bit how now as you've gone up, because you were doing procurement, you were overseas, and now you're roofing.
Out of everything you just said, the one thing that has resonated with me the most and connected was impact. Impact. Because one of the last sermons that my father and I listened to, we attend Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church in the Heights. I've been there all my life. And this was in October. I'll never forget this. October 2019. I think the Dr. T.R., I don't want to misquote his name, but anywho, he said a quote, and it moved me so much, and I live by it now. And the quote was, if your presence doesn't make an impact, then your absence won't make a difference. So when you talk to me about a legacy, and you talk to me about making an impact within the community and for my son, you have to show up. Yes. You have to do the work. You got to put your boots on and tighten them up. Yes. I'm an owner operator. Yeah. And I'll get into how things got started, but I'm very passionate about the things that I do in roofing because that's how it was taught to me. Yes. So whether you're working a corporate 9 to 5 and you're doing a business on the side, it doesn't matter. Right. Let your passion be your purpose. Yes. And let it make an impact. Yes. Because nobody's going to remember the person who didn't make an impact. We're not going to celebrate a Calvin D. Wells Day if Calvin D. Wells didn't make an impact. Right. So let me get back to your question about I didn't mean to get off.
No, that was awesome.
But here we are. I had a very great year in 2008. It was after Hurricane Ike. We had the biggest year of business to date. Okay? I wasn't as responsible as I am now. I was 25, maybe 26 at the time. Nonetheless, my father trusted me to pay me half of the earnings that were made on every job. Right. Okay, great. Well, what did I do? You know, I blew it.
Young,
I was
right?
young. I was going to nightclubs. I was partying. I was doing a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing. Let's fast forward. We go to the bank one day, and we're pulling up at Chase Bank, and he said, "Son, I know we had a nice little run, and I know that we don't necessarily have a retirement fund set up for us. So I want to offer you something." I'm like, "Yo, said that. If you go in the bank right now, just pull your bank statement. Whatever you have in there, I'll match it." And I know he was serious.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment I realized,
what have I lost?
What have I lost, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't show him anything. I think I maybe $5,000-$6,000 in the bank. But we're talking about astronomical amounts of money that I've blown, right? So he comes out, he said, "You couldn't go in there, could you?" I said, "I couldn't." He said, "All right, I need you to get out of my truck now and find your own way home." I was living with him at the time. And then when you do find your way home, pack your things and go find somewhere to live, because you can't stay at my house anymore. You're irresponsible. So with that being said, I called some friends up. I slept on some couches. I prayed, I fasted, and I went through a very rough spot. That's when that mental health, I realized what that was. And tapped in. Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, it is.
So, you know, man, thank God for counselors and people who help in that industry. But I found an opportunity to go overseas to work in Afghanistan. I took that opportunity. The contract was significant. I went over. I didn't even know what a material handler was. I didn't know what they did. But I knew, hey, if they wanted me to count the number of rocks on the ground, that's what I was going to do.
Right.
Because I wanted to, you know, make good of my opportunity. I did that for 2.5 years. I came back to Houston, saved up all of my money, learned my lesson. So my dad says, "Hey, welcome back. Let's meet at True Lux at 7 o'clock. Bring your bank statement." I said,
"Yes."
Now I'm excited.
Right,
I was like, "Oh, okay, he in for it now." So I go to the mall like a young, ignorant guy. I go buy the most expensive Hugo Boss suit I can find, and the glasses, the Armani glasses. And I'm sitting down there, he's looking at me like, "Where you going when you leave here?" I love nothing, just want to be dressed right for dinner. Okay, whatever. "Did you bring your bank statement?" I absolutely did. Put my bank statement on the table. I slid it over to him. He looked at it. Okay. Nice. Hand it back. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting
for the match. Right?
So he goes in his breast pocket and he pulls out a Wells Fargo. I don't bank with Wells Fargo. So I'm wondering, why is he showing me this? So he says, "Open it up." And I'm looking at it. So I opened it up and I looked at it. I was like, "Okay, cool. Okay, we about even." And so I handed it back to him, feeling good, and I'm just waiting. And he says, "Do you know what that is?" I said, "No, sir." He says, that's half of every profit for every job that was done while you were gone. But I wasn't going to give it to you until I saw that you did right with this opportunity."
Wow.
You talk about
that, just makes me want to tear up.
Crocodile tears. I'm brand new soup. I'm at the dinner table, but that's the type of man he was. So when we talk about my journey and how I got here, we have to first know where I really started from, because I didn't have to have that second chance. You know, you know, God saw it fit to move him to bless me with the second chance. So a lot of people out here, they didn't get that opportunity. So when I started off by saying my story isn't I got it out the mud, I built it from ground up, I had a father who stood by me, caught me when I fell, but was grounded and knew that I was going to mess up, and was still there for me to pick me back up. So, "All right, son, you messed up that time. You messed this up. That's it."
I don't know what to tell you.
And I had messed up since. So, you know, with that being said, let's fast forward to where we are now. Okay. Losing him was tough, because when I was married, he was the best man in my wedding. This is what I lost. He was my financial advisor. Okay. He was my spiritual background, because he was a deacon at our church. He was the son of a pastor. So, I mean, you know, spirituality was deep and heavily rooted. But not only that, he was the best mentor, just a great dad. You know, he was there. He spent the time. He had the balance that I didn't have when I was married. You know, if given another opportunity, I've learned from that. So when he closed his eyes, the morning of December the 19th, 2019, I got the call from my sister. She said, "You need to get over here ASAP." I get over there, and then I can,
Right.
see from the cars parked outside everything. Walked inside the house, he looked like he was asleep, but that was my moment to just say thank you. Once I told him thank you, I was at peace. I walked out of my mother's house, walked around the neighborhood. I had my moment, but then I looked up and I said, Dad, man, why'd you, golly, the night before we were just talking about roofing. So it was sudden. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? The only thing I can hear is, son, I couldn't live another day to teach you any more than I already have. That was the voice that I still hear in my head to this day. That's the reason I hit the ground running. And I said, oh, it's game time.
Right.
It's game time. I walked back to my mom's house, wiped my tears away. Sister such and such, brother such and such. Hey, do you need? Could you go to Shipley's, get 2 dozen donuts? I need you to go to Starbucks. And it just started becoming into the leadership role, And then from that day forward, I was been there for my mom. I love my sister for the role she lives with my mom now. Something I couldn't do, so I appreciate her for that. And I played my role. So here we go. That happened in 2019 December, right? January of 2020, I was right across the freeway on 288, roofing a house on Emancipation. I can't think of the cross street. Roofed that house, and then somebody else called. You guys still in business? Yep, roofed the house. So it starts going and going and going. So I start just finding my way slowly but surely. But this is the part that you probably don't know that I'm gonna blow your mind. On Alameda, there was a bar that exploded. And there was a patio on that bar deck. And all the debris from that patio landed on top of the roof and messed up the roof. And so as I'm looking at this, because I know the owner of that bar, I'm saying to myself, wow, I gotta reach out. I have to be of service to this brother because I know he's a solid guy. And so I reached out. I said, Steve, man, anything you need, man, I'm here. I have guys, I have trailers, I have trucks. We just want to come clean the debris up and get you back on your feet.
Wow.
He says, Wells, only thing I need right now really is a roof repair. I said, well, send me your address. Send me your address. He sends me the bar 5015. I'm like, Steve, you sent me the bar address. He said, yeah, that's why I need the repair. I said, I thought it smashed down to the ground. He said, no, just the patio is what blew up and it hit debris on the building.
Wow.
The debris hit the building. I said, oh, well, I'm on the way. So I get to 5015 and I park my truck right outside the street. Now, I know most of the people that are spectators, they just want to see the debris. I'm there to be of service. And I really, to the core, that's who I am, okay? When I get there, the corner of the building that comes out like this, it has missing shingles here. Ma'am, I installed architectural roofing shingles. I don't install 3-tab shingles. I wouldn't put that on the doghouse. So when I look at this roof and I'm looking at 3-tab shingles that are missing, I can fix it. But I said, nah, I'm just going to take it off and I'm going to put a 30-year high definition shingle on there. I'm going to give you more curb appeal and you don't owe me a dime, brother. You keep that money.
What?
And you build your business back up slowly but surely. And let me know how else I can be of service to you because I've been blessed already. Man, you know what happened from that?
What?
I come back. See, I know y'all didn't know this. I come back, right? And then I said, Steve, what are you going to do about the metal? He said, I was just going to ask you the same thing. Do you do metal? I said, I do. He said, give me a quote. I said, I can't do that one. He said, I didn't ask you. So give me a quote. I said, all right. Gave him a quote. He wrote me a check on the spot. He said, here you go. When can you get it done? I said, I have it done in 48 hours. Did it in 48 hours. Came back. Now I'm on the side of the building where this parking lot is adjacent to the building. I put my ladder down. I said, let's walk across the top so you can see down on the metal job that we did. I'm proud. We walked across the top and walked into 2 and 3 holes. And I just put my hand down. And he looked up at me and I looked up at him. He said, I'm going to have to get this done too. Steve, but this is the one that's going to cost you. And we worked it out. We worked it out because that's why I was sent there for. That was my purpose for going there, was to help this brother get back on his feet. We walked across that roof. We told him exactly what it would take. We got it done. We had all of his roofing stuff done in less than 14 days. The entire restaurant was put together in 30 days.
Yes.
Don't tell me what God can do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
but
No.
I'm going to speak my truth.
Here in this show.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That brother opened back up in 30 days. And then I said, well, Steve, do you mind if I hang my banner around the cyclone fencing of your establishment? He said, you can hang it there as long as you want to. So I put my banner up, WSR Roofing, all around this. And even to this day, you see a pop-up tent with people lined up on Sundays that says WSR Roofing while they're doing COVID testing.
Right.
Because now we develop a
relationship.
But from that right there alone, that led to multiple contracts signed by jobs led from acts of service. So when you say, I'm going to follow the Spirit on this show, the Spirit led you to do that because the Spirit brought me in here to tell you about this right here and how that's led to other things.
Absolutely.
And now here we are. Now, if you go down to the next light, you're going to get to Ben's. And if you look at Ben's, you'll see WSR banners wrapped around that building because the gentleman who owns the turkey leg hut wanted me to come roofing and I roofed it. But if you go further down here, and then you hang a left past Blodgett and you go on down to Richmond, where Richmond turns into Maine, you'll see what used to be an old Shipley's Donuts. I roofed that last week. And I had a banner right stuffed wings. Stuffed wings. Because this brother said, hey, he's working with a company called Iron Horse, who owns the property, who are leasing it out to him. And he said, I want this brother to put the roof on here because I've seen what he's done in the community already. That's how I ended up here.
You know what? I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start because there's a few things that you said. One, when I started my business, and one of the things that I probably got the most comments on is about servant leadership. Because servant leadership is not about you. It's about the people you're serving. And you got to understand, when you're in service, not everybody is in a position to be served. And you got to know that and be okay with that. But you've got to be in service. And when you are in service, prosperity comes.
It comes. I don't even worry about how. So I'm skipping around a little bit, so I apologize.
No. Free flow.
We talked about corporate America, and we also talked about having a business on the side. So when I came back from Afghanistan, I went to work for Halliburton. And logistics.
I know Halliburton.
I worked there for 1 year in the Permian Basin in New Mexico with hops.
From Odessa.
So you know all about it.
I know.
You know all about it. After that 1 year term was up, I came back to Houston. Now, what I didn't tell you is after my father took an early retirement from Texaco International, Mayor Lee Brown was then elected mayor in Houston. And he called my father personally because I was there when he called. I didn't know what it meant at the time. But the mayor of Houston just called your house and want to talk to you. That's before cell phones. Daddy, somebody, Mr. Brown. So, he interviews him. He said, hey, I got your resume. I know who you are. I know what you've done in your career. I want you to come run the procurement for the city of Houston.
Wow.
He went to run the procurement for the city of Houston. And he did that for 18 years after 28 years working for Texaco. So this brother,
because it ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over. So I'm a workhorse like him. But I said that to say he's made plenty of connections within his field. And when I came home from New Mexico, he put me in touch with a guy who owns a chemical company. And that guy called me down to his office. He said, hey, if you do half of the job your dad did within the city, in procurement, he said, I know you do great things for me. Name your salary and your start date.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to be full time. Let me go ahead and see what this is about. So I did work for him for 5, maybe 6 years. And this past year, business picked up in a way that I didn't expect it to. I opened up my catalog a little bit more. I started doing more specialty roofing systems like the clay tile, Spanish tile. I started doing stone-coated metal steel roofs, things that I haven't really done before. And I said, God, if this is my destiny, make it uncomfortable for me to come to this other job. And so he made it uncomfortable, like very uncomfortable. And I said, whatever my faith is, I'm still going to trust in you. And I'm going to roll with it, whatever that is. Ma'am, I resigned from that job in June or July of this year. And right after I did that, I was blessed with $156,000 contract for a retired baseball player who needed a new roof put on his house in Dallas. I have not looked back since. And I've just been going, and every step of the way, I find ways to give back. So you said something about leadership.
Yes.
I have a scholarship fund that's called Leaders and Learners. And this year, the recipients of that scholarship were from Cashmere High School. And I gave 3 deserving students $1,000 scholarship each.
Fantastic.
And those are the type of seeds I want to sow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is where, you know, some of y'all know the story, but Christopher does not. So a couple of things that you said. One, the service, well, everything you said, by the way. But when you talked about, you know, your dad and how he showed up, because we talked a little bit about our fathers and how he at one point said, okay, I need you to pack your stuff and find some more slip.
Right.
My dad told us this story, and I actually did a podcast on it. And it's a story, a fable about the crow. Because again, he was the same way. He's like, you know, even if you have nothing, if you have a good name, you have everything.
Right.
But you know better, right?
Yeah, you know.
And so he said, you know, there was this story about a crow, and the crow was partying, right? Having a good time partying. And it got to be wintertime, and all his friends flew south. It's like, well, you know, I got a little more time. Kept partying. He finally decided, well, I guess it's time to go. Started flying. Got really, really cold. Wings froze. Fell to the ground. He's like, man, I can't believe I wait. I'm going to die. I can't believe it. And it turned out he'd fallen into a cow pasture. So all of a sudden, cow comes by, drops cow patty on him, right? He's like, oh. And they thought, wait, this is warm. You know, I'm warming up. He starts moving his wings. He's like, I'm gonna be able to get out of here, get warm. What he didn't know was there was a cat sitting on the fence. Cat watched him, saw him, dove down, shook all the crap off, ate him. The moral of the story is, everybody who dumps a load of crap on you is not your enemy. And everybody who picks you up and dusts you off is not your friend. So before you get upset about somebody really speaking truth to you with love, now there's some people who are just trying to bring you down, but when you have somebody who's speaking truth to you and speaking into your life with love, even if it's hard, you need to sit down and understand that there's probably a lesson in that. There's a lesson in that. So that's number one. The second thing you talked about was that whole preparation, making it uncomfortable. When I left corporate, it was so uncomfortable. I couldn't do it another day. I couldn't do it another day. I was losing health. I was losing sleep. I hadn't slept on a Sunday for 5 years. 5 years. And I thought, now, Lord, I know this is not what it's supposed to be. I know, you know, and disconnect the values with the organization. I mean, just a whole lot of stuff. And you get those people, right? What do you mean you're thinking about leaving? You can't leave. Do you know how big your job is? Do you know how much money you make? Do you
know how much money you lose by not leaving?
Hello. Do you know what you are losing by staying in a place you're not supposed to be? Because God will make it very uncomfortable for you. Make it very uncomfortable. And so it's the same thing. I had to leave. And the reason I knew that it was time to go is when I made that decision. I made it in December of 2016. I was at home and I thought, I have not been able to really be present with my friends and family. I'm tired all the time. I'm not, you know, it's just not, it doesn't feel good. I was at such peace when I went in and told them I had to fly to Germany, and I told them in Germany, and oh my God, we can't believe, no, I'm gone. Now I'm being nice. It's February. I'm giving you till May because I'm not trying to hurt you, right? I'm not trying to be.
That's more than a lot.
It was a lot, you know, but we were going through a big implementation and all that. I'm like, you know what? But this is my karma, right? So you got till May. You gotta stay. I'm not staying. Came back to the U.S. Told my boss here in the U.S. and I had so much peace. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I wasn't crying. I just knew. I didn't have a job. I had nothing. I just knew it was time to go. It was time to go. And I remember, you know, at that time they were like, you got to stay. Just what do it take to stay? I said, well, I'm not staying. I'm not. There's nothing you can do to make me stay. What'd they say? Well, just if we can get you to stay till December, what is it going to take to get you to stay till December?
They don't want to negotiate.
Now, I'm in HR. I know what we've done for people. I also am a woman of faith and have to pay attention to my behavior. So I wrote my list, and it was not unreasonable. I didn't ask for anything crazy. And that to me was my God wink that said, look, I told you it was time to go. I'm going to make a way for you to go. And he did. And so I ended up extending, but it also funded what I'm doing. Right? And so I want you guys, as you're listening to Christopher and listening to his story, is you don't have to have tons of seed money. You don't have to have a big old name. Those things absolutely help. They do. But what's more important is, one, you have to be focused on service. And two, you have to be willing to work. Faith without works is dead. Yeah. You have to be willing to work, and you have to be willing to go through those valleys. Because whether you're in corporate trying to climb the ladder and dealing with all the microaggression and all the madness and craziness in corporate, or you're doing your own thing, just trying to make sure you put food on the table, there are going to be those times when you're like, seriously? This can't be real. I should just go get a job. I should just go get somebody else to write me a check.
I thought about that. And I know that December is always the slowest month for me. Yeah. And the first quarter, to be honest with you.
Always, but yes.
I told you that I was going to let the Spirit guide me and lead me.
Yes.
Whatever my faith was, that's what it was going to be. So guess what happened? During this slow season, I didn't realize this is my harvest season, because there was a hurricane by the name of Ida.
Yes.
It tore up the entire Louisiana coast. So what did WSR do? We extended our olive branch out into the entire Louisiana coast, and now we've opened up an office in Baton Rouge.
See, so that's fantastic.
That's that. But those are all things that were able to be done by sowing the right seed.
Sowing, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. And Jerry, it was so funny. She had really, she actually embarrassed me into starting this whole gardening thing. And so, because she called me out on the air, she's like, I got mine going. Where's yours? I'm like, I don't got to see there's bugs in the dirt, so I don't do that. Okay. But I tell you what, there has been. Oh no! Well, actually, I did real good. I had peppers. I had my cucumbers didn't make it, but everything else is really good. And my mother's a master gardener. But one of those things, those lessons about what you put in, right? What you sow is what you reap. Yep. And the piece with just not digging in the dirt, because I don't do that, but the piece of just being out there and watching and trimming things and just making things grow, nurturing, right? And knowing that what you're putting in, you're actually going to see some tangible reward, because we don't always see the reward. And that's sometimes what makes service hard, because we want to see. Right. We want to see what happened. But I'm telling you, people are watching. I got a call the other day that said, I follow I would listen to every podcast. I follow every show. She said, the woman said, you just don't know how much I need everything you say to me. I don't know who she is. Have no idea. Well, I've never seen her.
If I could speak to that woman.
Absolutely.
I would tell her, whatever you do, what I was taught, what I believe in, I don't have any tattoos, but if I have one here to have this on it, on my body. Quality is doing the job right the first time.
Come on.
If you hang your hat on whatever you do for a living on quality, you'll never go.
Absolutely. My daddy always said, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, what makes you think you're going to have time to do it over?
No. I don't know anybody that had that kind of time.
You just won't. You won't have time to do it over. So just do it right the first time. The other thing, my dad actually passed away in December too.
Really?
Yeah. And so one of the things you heard Christopher talking about education. So there's a scholarship there in Odessa. And so my brother and I are actually getting ready to, and he's going to be on the show in January, I hope, January, February. The president of Odessa College, Dr. Greg Williams, black man,
really?
Has built it to, I can't even tell you. They went from 4,000 students to 8,000 students now. They now have baccalaureate degrees in Odessa. Wow. He's about to put up a $40 million building. They got a grant from Mackenzie Scott. I mean, I'm telling you, rocking it. Okay. We got a chance to connect with him because my dad supported him.
Wow.
My dad, he's like, look, I'm meeting with y'all. People want to meet with me all the time. I'm meeting with y'all because of your dad. And now in meeting with you guys, I can see him in you. And so we're going to be doing some more things. My nonprofit is called All Kids Can Learn, because my dad always had buttons. All kids can learn. Because don't tell me how great a teacher you are if you can't teach that kid who didn't get to eat last night. If all you're teaching is AP, tell me when you got the kid who has not got the perfect lifestyle and how you teach him. Then you can tell me you're a great teacher. And so my brother and I are both doing some things to really lift people up and really also help people understand college isn't a thing for everybody.
No.
But that doesn't mean you can't make a great living and support your family and serve
Yep.
that way. So we're gonna be back in touch because
Well,
there's a connection there too.
listen, I think it'd be important or a good thing to put together a symposium.
Absolutely.
And then not just align the symposium with vendors who represent Best Buy,
Yes.
Target, and Hertz Enterprise,
Absolutely.
but maybe some contractors who specialize in certain crafts.
Yes.
And show people, hey, you know what? You can be a barbershop.
Absolutely.
Tattoo
Yes.
parlor. You know, you don't have to just go to school and get a job at a bank and work 9 to 5 for Chase.
You don't.
You know, find out what your passion is. What you
Absolutely.
love to do.
And if that's what you want to do, then understand what you have to do it.
Exactly.
Because we often get really irritated because we don't get what we want, but we also haven't put in the work. Even people at corporate, they go, well, I didn't get this, and people didn't know. But what'd you do? How'd you show up? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not undermining the issues around microaggression and, you know, is your hair straight or not? All that kind of stuff. That really does exist. And we got to own our own stuff.
Right.
If you're showing up with an attitude all the time, don't get mad when you don't get the promotion or get put on something.
Right.
You got to own that. You got to be really aware of you and then do what you can to modify behavior or own the behavior that you choose to continue. I know I don't have a poker face. I am too old and too tired to get one. But what I can do is manage the words that come out of my mouth.
That's right.
And the tone I use.
You can't take them back once you let them out.
Once they're done, they're done. So tell people a little bit more. I'll check time because see, we could be, oh, good. We still got 15 minutes. Tell people a little bit more when you think about, you know, your business. We were talking about this young woman that is your manager, your job manager.
She's awesome.
Talk about team. How do you find people that work with you?
So I'm going to be totally transparent. So when I look for team, I look for women. Reason being, as a business owner, I've learned that working with women who believe in your vision, they will get behind you and they will support you in a way that I don't believe a man ever will be able to. So my team consists of a bunch of women. You mentioned Liliana Wardas, who is my on-site manager. She manages all of my projects. But my accountant, she's a bad girl. Her name's LaSheryl Ivy. My marketing coach and my strategic business developer, she's a woman. Her name's Simone. She has her own agency, the Emerson Group.
Awesome.
The young lady who does all of my web creation, she's a woman. Her name's Tracy. So, I mean, these women alone together, they all work together. There are a few men who work for me, Julian, is a photographer, videographer, and Will, who is the husband of Tracy. But my team consists of a bunch of strong, really smart women. And those women support my vision. They get behind me, accompanied with my mother and my sister, who are my biggest supporters. It's funny because this past Sunday, we were dining at Carrabba's, and Sunday was the 2-year anniversary of my father's passing. And I looked both of them in the eye and I said, listen, I want both of y'all to know today that I appreciate your support. That means a lot to me, because one of the things that I did when he first passed was I took my personal vehicle. I drove a truck at the time, Silverado, and I had the whole truck wrapped in my company logo. So I didn't hone in on this. When my dad passed, I had to start the LLC in the same name because he had the business listed as a sole proprietorship. Right. So I couldn't do business in the DBA of Calvin Wells and Wells and Son Roofing Carpentry. So I formed Wells and Son Roofing LLC with the DBA as WSR. I changed the logo. I gave everything an updated look because I wanted to appeal to more stakeholders who sit on boards at universities and things like that. But by doing so, I changed something that they were so used to seeing and familiar with. So it was a little kickback. You sure you're doing the right thing? Daddy would have never done that. I don't know why you're doing it. You wasting all your money in it. But when it was my vision and it's my turn. And he told me I couldn't live any longer to show you anything else. So I roll with that. So now we're at Carrabba's 2 years later. And I'm saying, even when I got that truck, you know, boy, leave us alone. Leave us
Right.
alone. We love you. But you know, strong women.
Yeah.
Strong women. That's
Yeah.
what my team consists of, and that's not to undermine the men that I have working for me. I have some great craftsmen who are within the team, and lastly, I have a great sales team.
Yeah.
I'm here right now talking to you. They're in Louisiana, they're in Houston, and the communication is everything.
Yes.
So they're communicating with me now about things that are going on while I'm sitting right here.
Yes.
So it's great. The building team and having them believe in your vision is everything. So I don't have to necessarily come out to every job,
right?
Because I know I've trained them to be the type of leaders that I want them to be, and that's why Liliana came up.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, and y'all, you know, as you heard in the intro, you know, it's all about who you have on your team. You got to have a strategy, and then you got to have a team, right? And you need to know who's around you, and real leaders understand, and true leaders and servant leaders understand that, one, it's about the other person.
Yep.
Two, it's about getting things done with and through others.
Yep.
And then three, if you're really a good leader, you don't have to be there every day.
No.
You've set the right expectations, because it's not unkind to be clear. You've set the right expectations. You have hired and communicated in a way that people understand the vision and have bought in, right? And then you can make those tough decisions when you have to, but you can also pump up people when you need to, because they are on your team. And so you've got to be really clear. This is why hiring family, we want to be family. Stop it.
Yeah, nah.
Stop it. Entrepreneurs, stop telling everybody we're family.
Yeah.
Stop it.
No.
Because when you're family, you have a real hard time saying, no, you didn't do it. It gets into all kinds of drama. That doesn't mean you don't treat people with compassion and kindness, but it's a business.
It is. I've never hired any family. But one thing I will say, my father and I, although we're family, we were business.
It's a business.
I mean, he went to school for business.
Yes.
So he taught me business before son. It was.
Yes.
You know, he didn't play. He didn't play about it, because he knew his name was on. This isn't ABC 123 Roofing. This is Wells and Son Roof. So it meant something. It meant something. So we're not here to let anybody tarnish that name.
No.
Because we worked so hard to build it up within the community, especially within the roofing industry.
Exactly. And that's the thing, you guys. I mean, it's the Rutledge perspective for a reason, right? Perspective, because everybody's got one, right? And so you're going to hear mine, because it's my show. But because Rutledge means something to me, right? It means something to me. It means something to me generationally, right? Coming from a family of educators on both sides. You know, my grandfather, my mom's stepdad owned a liquor store right here on Alabama and Ennis, right? And worked at worked at the VA all day, and then came and ran that at night, right? So it's that whole, you know, education on one side, the entrepreneurship, hardworking all around, and being real and honest with yourself about how you show up and when you show up, and also giving yourself some grace, because everybody has a bad day.
Yep, that's it. And so that's what I'm teaching my son now. It's okay to make mistakes, because you have to learn from them.
Absolutely.
And everyone else may not agree, but I think in order to be successful, failure is necessary.
I agree.
Because you have to go through something to know that didn't work, to know that the next thing is what you need to do.
Yes.
And so for me, I'm going to teach him that. I'm going to teach him integrity, of course. These are just common things that a man should teach his son.
Right.
When my son was born, I created him an email address, and I email him frequently. Just let him know how it feels to be a dad, but just things that he's going to miss out on early in life. And once he gets older, I give him the access to that, and he go back and read and catch up.
That's awesome.
Or if something happens, he knows.
He knows.
That's a nugget for new fathers out there.
Right.
But most importantly, if he does not want to do roofing, I'm okay with that. He's going to learn how to run the business, hire a CEO, and he'll still be a stakeholder in the business.
Exactly.
And it still will bless his family abundantly.
Exactly.
So,
see, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. This has been fantastic. I want to make sure, because I also heard you make a commitment to make a call at 11.
I do have
so we are not going to keep you from being able to make that commitment, because I'm telling you, if you need a roof, this is who you need to call.
Please call.
Right? Please call, and it's Wells and Son, WSR, not Wells and Sons. Wells and Son, because there's a Wells and Sons out there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, when I was looking for you to tag you and stuff. So FYI.
They're an imposter.
They're an imposter, and make sure they don't hack your stuff. Okay. So just your social media people. Wells and Son, right? And it's an LLC. So make sure that if you are looking for somebody to do it, these guys came in, they were so professional. They were in and out. All of a sudden it got quiet. I'm like, wait, it's just, are y'all done already? I mean, it's amazing. So that's number one. If you are looking for a quality roofer or somebody you know needs one, this is the person you need to talk to. But secondarily, I want you to really think about the person that is sitting here, who is the face, the name, the heart of this organization that you're going to be doing business with, because it's about relationships. Yeah. You know, I personally don't want to have employees, not anymore, right? After being in HR, I don't want that. But I'm very conscious about the service providers that I hire, because they become part of my team as well. And that's about heart. So true. That's about heart. That's about honesty and integrity and how people show up. And so I would just say, if for no other reason, even if you don't need a roof, I would suggest that you get to know this man here, Christopher Wells, that is sitting here on the Rutledge Perspective radio show, and what he is doing for the community and how he is trying to lift up and build up others, because we all need that. And we all need to be able to show up that way. And it is incredible and uplifting and positive. And that's what we like to do here, right? Because it's hard stuff. We're going to speak the truth. Yeah. But there's beautiful stuff going on.
It is.
There's beautiful stuff going on.
I'm just happy to be in the position to do it.
Yes.
To play my part, my small portion. I think I mentioned to you at the toy drive we had, at my father's memorial service, Mayor Turner came out, presented a proclamation to honor his death date as Calvin D. Wells Day in the city of Houston. So I wanted to honor that by doing what he's most noted for, giving back.
Yes.
So now here we are coming off the tail end of our second annual WSR toy drive, honoring the legacy of a giver, Calvin D. Wells. And to my surprise, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee comes through the door with a bag of toys and also a certificate from the Congress 18th Congressional District, just acknowledging our humanitarian effort and giving back to the city of Houston. Man, that's great.
Good work.
And listen, I know I'm not the only person that gives back in the city, not the only roofing contractor. I know there's plenty of people that's been doing this prior to me, and they may have been overlooked and not acknowledged, but this is for them. Yeah. Because I'm doing it from a pure heart.
Absolutely.
Giving is from the core. It's what I've seen all my life, and it's what I will continue to do. Yeah. So I appreciate you having me on your platform.
Thank you. Yes, this has been amazing.
I don't do this often. So.
Yeah.
Can I give the one major takeaway he said that had us over here in the studio audience? Is because we were talking about how important relationships are and not chasing the bag. Right. Yes. And I love the fact that you said you saw the need that was happening across the street and you sold your work. Yes. But in sewing that, it opened up the door for more business. And so can you help other entrepreneurs know it's not so much always making the money right then and there. Sometimes you may have to give of your services, but it's going to open up the door for more. So when you said that your name is down the street and on the other streets and all that because of relationships, can you say a little bit last part about for the people just jumping on the importance of building relationships in business?
Very important in business, especially when you want to take your business to the next level. Just talking about relationships. So here we are. The last job that we just did was Stuffed Wings, right up the street, as we mentioned. I got there. They didn't pay me to tear off the parapet wall that's going around the top of the building. They didn't pay me for that. But I saw that it needed to be done. So I did it anyway. Not only did I do it because I saw it needed to be done, but here this management company, Iron Horse, they're looking at the work that I'm doing. This is my very first time as a contractor showing them what I'm capable of. But you know what they did in the end? Add up what it cost to redo that parapet. Everybody loved it. You did such a great job. And just let us know what it costs. We're going to see what we can do. They wrote me a check for it. But here I am, building the relationship by doing things the way I know to do them, with integrity, quality, and just being honest. And that's where it leads to. So, short story, in the beginning of next year, I'll be looking at 3 more of their properties already, based on that one experience right there. Wow. And building that relationship in such a short time. I've had relationships that I've built over the past 2 years that have opened up the door to roof a whole apartment complex. We did an apartment complex for a management company called Avenue CDC. I met one of the procurement guys at their business, and it took a year or two before I can get a contract. But once he gave me a contract, awarded me a contract, I did a hell of a job on that roof because I wanted to show him. Like,
Exactly.
don't hire me because of my hire me because I'm qualified for the job.
That's good.
And then we knocked it out the park.
Yes.
We knocked it out the park. So yeah, relationships are key.
Yes. It's one thing to get in the door, right? Yep. But show up.
Yeah, don't just get in there and then lay down. Because
the way you show up impacts everybody behind you.
Yep.
Everybody behind you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being. I want you to be able to get on your call so you can meet your commitment. I am so appreciative of you coming in and spending time this week. This is, y'all see why I wanted him on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Have a fantastic holiday. Be safe. Be safe in New York.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just anytime, we would love to have you back.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully I have more funny stories to share.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the show this week. I am so glad you were here. Have a merry, merry, and safe Christmas. And we'll catch you next week. Bye.